Sis and Tell, a whole lot of talk, about a whole lot of nothing. Amanda does stand up, Alison's on TV, and when they hop on the phone, it's the place you wanna be. Sis and Tell.
Hey, Allie.
Hello there, Amanda. How are you? See, I'm trying to change it up.
Oh, God.
Was that too formal? All right,
Yeah,
fine. Hey,
that
man,
was
what's up?
boring. That was boring. Oh, my gosh.
I just don't want to be predictable. Predictable's also boring.
We're
So
predictably unpredictable, I would
there
say.
you go. There you
So,
go. So I figured out how I'm going to entertain
no!
myself. Yes, it's my turn. I knew you were going to jump in and try to say something. This is quick. You know, Al and I are empty nesting, and we still have a ton to talk about. But
Bull,
we
this will
also
not be
have.
quick.
I also figured out there's other people in our house we can always talk to at any given moment.
The squirrels? Are there squirrels in your attic?
No, and those are the people on TV. So every night we have our routine. We watch Lester Holt, you know, while either like right before we eat dinner, while we're having our glass of wine, perhaps. And then we watch Wheel of Fortune and usually Jeopardy.
Oh, my
And so
God.
I
You are
love it.
like all of a
I
sudden
love it.
75.
I know. I can't help it. I'm admitting it. This is our routine, and I'm not going to apologize for it. And even though I'm telling you, Pat Sajak, he is the corniest person alive, and I'm starting to find him
Thank-
funny. That's the scary part.
But also, thank God, because I thought you were going to say sexiest man alive. And I was like, please don't say Pat Sajak is sexy. Because then
Okay,
we've
when
got,
I say that, you can. I give you permission to come over here and just commit me.
I would
if
have
I
said,
ever use those words.
I would have
Yes.
said, I'm going to buy a vowel. It's going to be, oh.
Well, I think we've discussed this, that he is the longest running television host, he and Vanna. And last night at the end, they always do something very corny. But I found out that Vanna, she wears a different dress every show. And over the course of whatever, 30 plus years, she's worn more than 7,000 dresses.
Are they all on? They must all be on loan.
I'm sure there are, because she said she has to get them fitted and this and tailored. But then Pat Sajak said, yes, and over the course of my time here, I've worn 9 different suits or something, right? Like, hey, man doesn't have to change, and he's probably worn a bunch of
know.
ties. It's so easy.
He's probably
But
had,
anyway,
I'd like to
I-
know the number of ties, though, because I bet the amount of ties he has is
Right.
vastly different than the number of suits.
And I'm sure there are men listening to this, including my husband, who would gladly donate their ties to Pat Sajak just to keep it
Also,
interesting.
he's been doing this since what, the late 70s?
Yeah, he's been forever.
So
Merv
I
Griffin found him or discovered him.
cannot imagine it's only been 9 suits because the style changes.
Okay,
of
he was probably
suits.
exaggerating. The point is, Vanna had
Alright.
7,000 dresses. He might have had a dozen. What? Let's name it 24 even. Let's name it 100. That can't compare to
You're right.
7,000 plus dresses. All of this to say is, I was yelling at the TV last night because this is what happened. So they have these 3 women on, and I immediately can tell if they're like the sharp ones or not. And no offense, it's not like I'm going to be the sharpest, tool in the shed if I was on Wheel of Fortune, but I could do better than these. They're just not good. And the final clue to this was there was a category like what are you eating, or food and drink, and it was like something something something, like every letter was filled out except for 2 letters. Okay, so I'm
Oh,
going to tell
no.
you. So it was cream something, wait, something LO blank and cream cheese. Okay, so without even telling you the first few words, LO blank and cream cheese, what would you say it is?
Lox and cream cheese.
Thank you. Okay, you say it like that is like the most obvious thing, because it is. This
Yeah.
woman guessed bagels something low and cream cheese,
What?
and she missed it. So I'm
Have she
cooking
never
dinner.
met a Jew? Has she? This is someone who doesn't know what a Jewish person is.
Well, I
She
hear
never-
Pat say in the background, sorry, that's not right. And I had just seen the puzzle and thought, oh, she's like, I'd like to solve, like all confidence. And I didn't hear what she said because I'm thinking, what
Of
in the
course
world
she
could
got it
she have
right.
said?
Yeah.
So I rewind it and I listen, and it's something low and cream cheese. I don't know if she's thinking there's like it's a short term for sweet and low. I don't know what low could be. She clearly had no idea of the word lox. But the woman after her, who was half her age, or maybe at least 3/4 her age, immediately said, I'm going to, she spun the wheel just once. She goes, I'd like an X. like, hello. Then she went something, bagels, lox, and cream cheese. And I said, oh my gosh, not only do I feel sorry for this woman, maybe her name was Gracie, because she wasn't very good at the game, but she also obviously has never met a Jewish person. I mean, or ever been around Jewish people,
But
or ever been
also,
around Jewish food, or ever been to New York. Like,
lox
let's
and cream cheese is so mainstream. Like, if
thank
they're
you.
selling sushi in Kroger, right? They're selling
Right.
sushi in Kroger, and you know what they put on sushi now? They put lox on it. They
Well,
don't.
it's
It's not
salmon, to be
all.
fair. They call it salmon. They don't call
But
it
I'm just
lox.
saying, like, how do you not know what lox is? What, like, where has she had her head in the ground like a
No, no. And especially
ostrich?
in that context, if it had been something, onions and, onions
Hello
and
is
egg
not even
whites,
a
maybe.
food.
Low is not even a food. But the fact that she didn't know bagels, lox, and cream cheese made me so sad for her. And I
Yeah.
think that, and I thought, it's not just because I'm Jewish. I know bagels, lox, and cream cheese, but she must live a very sheltered life. And so I started yelling at the TV. And then I realized that no matter how many people are in the house, I always have company because I talk to people on the TV as if they're my friends or foes in this case, because I'm very
Now you
patient
know
with
how
her.
I feel about social media because people at least talk back to me. Like, they provide comments.
No, I don't want them talking back. That's the difference between us.
Yeah.
I don't want them to
You're okay
respond.
with the imaginary one-way conversation,
I'm very
and
okay with
I
it.
need the
Yeah.
interaction. So we're both living lonely lives.
There you go.
P.S. We only talk to an actual human being once a week on our
Right.
podcast.
Maybe we are living bagels low and cream cheese lives then.
Oh, that is
That's how low
sad.
we've gotten.
That is
I know. I'd
sad.
like to know what low is. Maybe I'm the one who's sheltered because I have no idea what low is.
Well, can I tell my story now?
Yeah, go
And
ahead.
there's
Go
no
ahead.
good transition to this. There's no through line. I can't even do a transition. I'm just going to say that we live in Decatur. It's 4 square miles. The kids can walk pretty much everywhere, or if I drive them someplace, it's like a 5-minute drive. It's very easy. So, all in all, and I found out it's actually this generation not interested in getting their driver's licenses, right? So, or permits. Most of my almost 17-year-old friends don't even have driver's permits. They definitely don't have licenses. So, that being said, Murray, 20 days shy of his 17th birthday, just passed his license test,
Mazel
which is
tov.
great. He took the road test yesterday, but I'm telling you, leading up to this road test, it was a test. It was a
So wait,
test
he
of
had his permit. He had his permit.
he
He
had his
passed.
permit, but it was a test on me because you go to the DMV site, there's 20 things that they want us to bring with us.
Right.
Okay. There's a birth certificate, a social security card, mail with our address on it. They wanted our car insurance. They wanted our car title. And then we had to find all this stuff. Most of it, the birth certificate and social were in our bank, right? They're in the safety
Right.
deposit box. And then we didn't know where the car title was. Aaron's like, maybe it's in the glove compartment. No, that is like the worst place to keep a car title. I literally have a headlamp on. I'm going in our crawl spaces in our attic looking for our boxes, and I'm going around the corner finding
You
some.
needed a car title? That doesn't make any sense.
So that's what it said, that we had to prove the car was ours, and that if you needed to rent a car, you also had to bring the rental agreement, whatever.
Oh, y'all are, I mean, seriously, it is, and I'm not saying this sarcastically, it is easier to buy a gun in the state of Georgia or even Tennessee than it is to get your
100%.
driver's license.
It
This
was
is testament to that.
It was so insane. And then, so I'm pulling out boxes, right? It's like I'm spelunking. I barely fit through the door because there's furniture in front of these tiny doors. It is like being John Malkovich, and the house is just getting smaller and smaller. So then Aaron goes, I think the box with the car title is an offsite storage, which Aaron.
What?
Which Aaron has for work, okay? Because he's an attorney. He has to hold on to files for like 7 years. So we go to offsite storage.
And it's probably fireproof. That's really good.
And let me tell you about this. You know that end scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Were there snakes there too?
Oh my god! But there's like they
A
put
1,000 goblets.
they put no the Raiders of the Lost
Oh, the
Ark.
very end
The
scene.
very
No.
end scene.
I'm
where
thinking of where, yes, okay.
no, they're
Yes.
putting the ark away, in this giant warehouse, and they're like, there's
Yes.
no way someone's going to find this ark, and it's in a box. That's what it was. I opened it up, and there's so many boxes, and I'm like, how are we going to find our box? Because it's in a banker box, just like all of his other files. Eventually, we found it. Okay, and guess what? By the
And the
time
ark.
and the ark, and I found the Ark of the Covenant. So we get to the place, we get to the DMV, and although it's slow going, I've never met nicer women at this DMV. They're calling us honey and sugar, and they are so sweet. And then they ended up, like you said, they didn't even want it
No, they don't need
because
any
he
of
had
that.
his permit. We already proved the world to them, and for some reason they didn't want the car title, even though it was listed on there. But let me tell you how the road tests have changed. Because of COVID, they will not sit in the car with my child anymore. They
What?
put a camera in the car. So they see the inside and they see the outside, and then they call you on the phone and tell you what to do. And
That's got to be more dangerous than being in the car with them.
you know what's more dangerous is the fact that they told me I couldn't talk.
Wait, so you were in the car with him?
Yes, because he doesn't have
Okay,
his
wait,
license
wait,
yet.
wait. You have to back up. Yes. So I didn't even put that together. So you are in the car with him instead of the instructor or the driver, the
Correct.
driving person, and you have your phone on speakerphone or what?
His phone's on speakerphone, and they're like, do not silent your phone. We need to be able to call you. Da, 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 da. So they're talking to him on the phone, which also doesn't make sense. And they're giving him direction. But before we even take off, there's
This is
two,
it's giving
it's
me anxiety thinking
okay.
about
There's
this.
us. I know. There's us in another minivan, and they're giving us both directions. They're in between. The woman is giving directions on to the left of us, and then she turns around to repeat the directions to Murray, who's in the driver's seat. His window is rolled down, and before I know it, she has taken her shoe off and has it in her hand and looks like she freaked out and looks like she's about to hit Murray in the face with her shoe, and she smacks the top of the car. And she goes, there was a spider. And then the spider falls into the car.
What?
And she goes, ah! And I go, ah! And Marie goes, oh my God.
Oh my gosh. This is like a scene from The Office. Seriously.
And she's like, where'd the spider go? And we're like, we don't know. I don't know where that spider went. He goes, I thought you were going to hit me in the face with your shoe. And we're dying laughing, and I go, I thought she was going to smack you in the face. And then she said, like Murray's got my hair, very curly hair. So as soon as she says spider, it is like my worst nightmare is a spider in my hair or any
Bats
bug.
and spiders. Bats and spiders.
Any living, let's just say any living creature in my hair totally freaks me out. I think it would freak out anyone, but my hair's very curly. It's not like your hair is straight and it can just like slide on out. Like there's room
your
for
hair's
it to
a natural nest. It's a natural nest for people.
It can
not
go on
people,
vacation.
Things would love to just
Jimmy
like,
Hoffa's probably in my hair, right? Like who knows? God knows what's hiding in there. But so then he goes, if now I've got one more thing to worry about. And he goes, and if you hear me yelling, it is because of the spider. You cannot deduct points. And she goes, don't worry, baby. I will not deduct points if I hear you yelling.
That is hilarious.
It was so funny. But
so you can't talk. So you can't like say, slow down, Maria. You're like this. Like,
no.
Can they see you giving like hand signals? Like, like.
So this is what happened. So they start off. He's got, by the way, it was all in the parking lot of this mall. Okay. And so, we never left the mall parking lot.
That's even weirder.
It was weird. And so it's like 15 miles an hour. But we start off, he has to back into a space and he has to parallel park. And then she wants us to leave this we're in this little.
Wait, he has to parallel park? Did you ever have to parallel park for your driver test?
I had to do a 3-point turn and that was it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I learned how to parallel park because, I went to school in Boston. But that's, and it was, I think everybody should know how to parallel park. Don't get me wrong.
Too.
But that's wow.
And he started a little too far away. So then he was like, it took him he didn't have to redo it, but it took him.
Yeah. Was it between two cones or two real cars?
It was between 4 cones. Gotcha. So they did 4 cones. And we'd practice and he'd been great. Like I practiced with him with actual cars and he's pretty good at parallel parking. Okay. So anyway, so then she's like, I want after we do, and they stand outside while you're doing the parking, but then once it moves on to the phone, once it moves on from parking, it's just on the phone. So she's
Okay.
like, there's like this little lot we're in, and then this road that's inside the parking lot of this massive um, shopping center. So she's like, make a left. And she doesn't give direction on purpose after that because he's making a left onto this road and there's an immediate stop sign. And I
Oh.
knew he didn't see it
Oh no.
because it's a tiny stop sign. You know how they'll have like smaller stop signs, and all of the paint that is supposed to be on this road has faded away probably 70 years ago, like it's the zombie apocalypse. Okay. So there's no lines in between the lanes.
Right.
There's no white thick stripe right where the stop sign
I like
is.
this. So this is real life driving, right? No,
And
we're not
yeah,
coddling you anymore. This is
no.
how the roads are.
In fact, there was a car at one point that passed Murray on the wrong side because we
Oh,
had to go
great.
slow. So, but anyway, so he is pulling. I'm seeing he's pulling up to this stop sign and not stopping. So I put my hand.
Are you admitting to cheating
I
right now?
couldn't.
I'm
I
not sure.
couldn't help it. I would put my hand in front of my face and I just go stop. I was like, I couldn't. It was like a reaction, an
Right.
involuntary reaction.
It was
You
like
know,
Pavlov's dog.
right? I'm
Stop.
like
Are
my.
you turned into a
I'm like,
ventriloquist?
stop. So eventually he did stop, and then the woman on the phone goes, "Oh, see, yeah, I knew. I'm glad you eventually stopped. That's what I wanted to. I did that
Oh
on purpose.
gosh.
A lot of people
That's a
don't see that
trick.
stop sign,
Right.
but he, thank the Lord, passed. I've never been so nervous to take a test. I mean, like seriously, if I thought I was pregnant in high school, I think this like pregnancy test in high school versus like my
It would have
teenager in
been
high
less
school taking a
nerve-wracking.
road test. Way,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
Ugh,
No parent should have to actually be in the vehicle when the kid is
it's
taking the
just
road
mean.
test. That's
That was
torture.
that was just
That's
mean.
just yeah.
Like, give me a Xanax at least before.
Exactly. So now what? So now do you trust him to just take the minivan and go somewhere?
No. We said, look, we also live in Atlanta, and
Has he
uh
driven on the highway before? That's a big
he
thing.
has, but not enough to my liking, right?
Yeah.
Like he wanted to go to Sandy Springs this weekend at night, and I'm like, no, we need to do
Right.
a lot more highway driving. It's scary for adults, right? He was fine driving to like he drove to the gym. He drove him and Oscar to the gym last night, and I was fine with that. And by the way, there's rules. I don't know if you what happens in Tennessee, but the first 6 months he can only drive immediate family,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
after that, it's like one kid for. And I don't even know what the. I'm like, let us get to 6 months, and then we'll go from there.
We have that you can until you're 17. Well, for the first year, you can drive your immediate family, like your siblings, and you can drive someone to school and back. And so I
Oh,
know, yeah, when one of the boys first started driving, and we literally our literal next door neighbors go to the same or went to the same high school that the boys went to. And I said, well, as soon as this one can drive, we spaced it out perfectly because Arthur drove at 16. 2 years later, Abe drove. Arthur
I know.
graduated.
That
Abe
was
took
so
over.
easy.
As soon as he graduated, Levi was driving. So our neighbors were like, we're happy Abe can drive them. And I said, by the way, he got his license 2 days ago. I said, and they will legally let him drive. But if you're not comfortable, they're both like, nope, we're comfortable.
Yeah,
They're
bye.
they're both doctors. It was their second born. They're like, if we don't have to drive all the way to school, yep, you take them. Go ahead. We
If
trust them.
this
It's fine.
if this was Birmingham, I'd feel a lot different about him getting on the highway. But Atlanta,
Atlanta is nuts.
it
Atlanta's
is
confusing for an adult
it
with
is
that is a seasoned
scary.
driver.
And
Yeah, it is.
285, you are like
Yeah,
basically it's Talladega with 18 wheelers,
yeah, yeah.
Like and they don't
And
care. They're
even
not.
using a GPS, like I was using Waze the last time I was there, it is not it looks like you're
There's
going one way
counterintuitive,
and there's
yeah.
all of these like side roads and side highways and
Construction.
byways and it's very confusing. And
Yeah.
to be able to navigate intuitively and be able to follow a GPS when you're not used to it. And for a 16-year-old with a new driver's license, he might as well be an out of towner because it's not like he's been paying attention. I never paid attention
Right.
until dad made me pay attention.
I mean,
So,
times where I have almost turned into the wrong like inlet to the highway because it was marked so poorly. And
Yeah.
there were no lights, and GPS was confusing me. And then I saw like the median, and I went around it, you know. But it's like and I'm I'm a really good driver now. When I was 16, I'm lucky I lived past 16.
Right. I'll
You know,
just say, here's the thing about driving. You only get better by driving.
I
So he
know.
has to just practice. And
Yeah.
as soon as he's good enough and y'all feel comfortable, then it's going to be liberating for you, because having
Yes.
a third driver in the family and then a fourth and then a fifth is really, I mean, the anxiety before it is nothing compared to the feeling of freedom
Well,
afterwards.
just him driving him and Oscar to the gym last night was
Yeah.
Aaron and I watched Netflix instead of like, I've been like Uber
Yeah.
forever. I'm still Uber because we have 2 cars. We don't have 3 because if we get a third car, it's just going to like sit there in the parking
Yeah.
lot all day while he's at school. It doesn't make sense at this point.
Yeah. So here's the real question now. Are you going to track your kids on one of those devices to see if he makes it to or from his destination?
It, am I? Like, I haven't been doing that
Oh.
already? I mean,
See, it wasn't a thing when our kids started driving. You couldn't do
really?
any of that. Yeah.
Yeah, Find My
Yeah.
Phone. You don't have Find My
We
Phone?
do. And I have Find My Phone. All the boys, so they're all on my account because I do it through
You
my
mean like
business
Life
account.
360?
But yeah, we never got Life 360, which is like above and beyond. Just Find My iPhone.
Yeah, we should get
Um,
him to download that.
Yeah, there
Like,
is, and I don't know if I'm not suggesting it. I'm just saying there is comfort in knowing, okay, text me when you get to school, and then 4 hours later you're like, really hope you made it to school 4 hours ago. They're like, oh right,
no, I mean,
I'm
I
here.
I track them on Find My Phone. I stalk them, I should say, on Find My Phone already. It's like a video game. I'm like watching the little icons move, and I'm like, all right, there. Aaron's like, are they there yet? I'm like, yep, I see they're in the parking lot at the
Yeah.
gym, right? And then
Thank goodness mommy and daddy could not track us. I went so many places. I just felt so confident on the road, even in high school and then in college. I mean, we drove to Mardi Gras from Boston and back, and I didn't tell mom and dad I went
that's
only until I got back
insane.
because there was a snowstorm and we wrecked the car and I had to tell them.
Oh,
I mean, there were so many
oh,
times where it was after the fact and I said,
you
"By
drove
the way,
all the way to New Orleans from Massachusetts?
yeah, 24 hours door to door. We left on a Sunday afternoon. We got there Monday. My friend Jesse, who lived across the hall, there were 8 of us total in 2 cars. We stayed at his house. We went to Mardi Gras basically all day Monday and Tuesday, or maybe we drove down Saturday, got there Sunday, stayed all day Sunday and Monday, came home Tuesday. And as we're pulling into like Boston, that area to Waltham, it started coming down and then it really came down. And luckily my friend Jamie was driving the car. He's from the Northeast. And we did a 360, maybe
That's
we did a
scary.
720 on the highway. We hit the guardrail. And not hard. I mean, no airbags or anything. And we were all fine. We didn't hit another car. The
This
car
was your
still
car?
moved. This was my car, one of those, I think it
The
was a Mazda.
Mazdas?
Yeah,
Oh
one of
god,
like
I
the
hated those
626 and
Mazdas.
929, so it was big. And then we got back to the parking lot and there must have been a foot of snow on the ground. And
That's
and then I was like,
crazy.
so there's good news and bad news. But
But
yeah,
also they didn't have to know where you were when you hit the guardrail, you know?
that's true. But I felt
So
like at that point I was fine
you
telling
just
them.
came clean,
I
right?
was a big believer in, ask for forgiveness instead of begging for permission,
Right.
which I'm not suggesting that for my own kids, of course,
Of
but
course not.
yeah. So they usually ask for permission and then I admit to them, I did that and never told anybody. They're like, "Oh, well then we're just going to go ahead and do that."
So at some point I was driving one of those 929s, and I tell you, Daddy like got a car alarm put into
Oh.
it. Like it didn't I don't know why we needed a car alarm. But
Oh
when
my
I was
gosh.
driving it, the car alarm, something was faulty about it. So it would start to go off while I was driving it, and it would shut the car down. It would shut the car down, and then I'd have to like press the unlock button like 1,000 times so to turn it off, and so I could start the car back up again. And I don't know why I kept this from Dad for like a few weeks, and eventually, because I just thought I had to deal with it, right?
Right.
I had a workaround, but it would like slow down. Like it would always happen like right I was slowing down near a stop sign and then it would just stall. And so eventually I told Dad that was happening. He goes, "When did that start?" I'm like a month ago. And he's like, "Why didn't you tell me?"
I
Like, I
think
don't know.
as like a people, we have just grown immune to the sound of an alarm. Like if you heard a car alarm go off, like isn't your first thought like that's so annoying, not
Yeah,
somebody's car is getting broken into?
right. No,
It's
that
just
would
like it
not.
must be false, right? That's my first thought.
Well,
The
the
alarm went off. You know the sound that goes off when there's an Amber Alert?
yeah,
That I mean, I'm not going to do it, but so at
I
2 in the
think you
morning
just did
last
it.
night,
Yeah.
yeah. So imagine that times 100. At 2 in the morning, around 1:30, 2 in the morning, I don't even know. Every device we own went off like that
Oh my
and
God.
scared us to death. And of
Yeah.
course, you would think if that's going off at 1:30 in the morning, what do I think? I guess it's an Amber Alert. I hope everybody's okay. I turned it off, went back to bed. I go to work out this morning. Everybody's like, "Wow, how about that tornado warning at 1:30 in the morning?" I'm like, "I'm sorry,
Oh,
what was that?"
that's what
There
that
was
was.
a
It's different.
tornado warning?
It's a different
Okay.
sound.
Well,
Yeah.
now I know that. I said, "Okay, I thought it was an Amber Alert, and I was just praying that everybody was okay, and I guess I should have actually paid
Oops.
attention." And I can't read it. It's not like I only keep my phone by my bed in case the boys do breakthrough emergency calling.
I
So,
don't
I knew it wasn't them.
Honestly, I don't pay attention to tornado sirens either. It's pretty bad. I've no look, we had nowhere to go growing up in our house. We didn't have a basement.
Right.
Mom and dad, I'd be like 14, 15 at home by myself with Pepper and the tornado siren would go off. This was in Alabama, we're surrounded by a forest. And I'd be like, "What do I do? Should I bring in Pepper?" They're like, "I guess." I
Go to the
guess.
laundry room.
Go the laundry room, that wasn't even I guess, they were just like, go to the middle of the house." What middle of the house? There was no middle of the house. We had, like, an open concept hallway. It wasn't even we didn't even have a hallway. I guess sit on the
No.
stairs? I don't know.
I would have gone to the closet in your old bedroom. I think that would have been the safest place.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to
And
think of how far in you could go and also be protected.
right. Well, we have what we call the Harry Potter closet in our house, which is
Yeah.
literally the closet under the stairs. And last time there was, this was recently, it was like a month ago. There were really bad tornadoes coming through. So, and the siren was going off, and so I cleared it out, and then we all practiced going in with the dogs. And Aaron goes, So Marie and I will stand here and hold the door closed." I go, "No, I'm not. Murray's not going to be holding the door closed. I will hold the door closed."
Right.
And Aaron's like, "Well, Murray's much stronger than you." And I go, "Yeah, and he's much stronger than you. He's much stronger than, you know, the rock."
Yeah.
I was like, "My child's not going to do that." And by the way, you think any of us are stronger than a tornado ripping a
Exactly.
door off its hinges? That's not like
No.
Murray is not going to be able to keep a tornado from ripping a door off the hinge, no matter how
No.
strong he is.
We have a room in our house that's perfect for it. And when the boys were in elementary school, they cleared school out. I mean, it was like emergency. I think I might have told you I was coming down the street. Well, actually, I wasn't in the street. I remember this story now. I was actually at Mojo Burrito, which sadly has closed, my favorite place.
Oh,
I used to go write my monthly columns there. And I'd have lunch, then the restaurant would kind of like clear out and I would just sit there with my laptop and I would type. So all of a sudden, Alan calls me and he goes, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm at Mojo writing my column." And he goes, "What do you mean? Are you in Red Bank?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you not see that there's a tornado?" And I go, "Where?" And he goes, outside." I look around. The
outside.
restaurant had cleared of everyone. I was literally the only one there. I don't even know where the
Where's the
staff was.
They didn't
He
get you?
Nobody nobody came and said, "Ma'am, I think you need to either leave or come in the kitchen with us." So I get my stuff and he's like, "You need to go to school and get the boys." I'm like, "Okay." So
You
I
get the
get in my
boys,
car.
but aren't
Yeah.
they but they have places they do tornado
No,
drills at
this was like
school.
the tornado was like the storm was coming, the tornado hadn't hit yet. And so I get in the car as I'm going
That
down the
seems more
road.
dangerous to ask you to go get the children.
Well,
Bad move, Alan.
no, he was it was anyway, it was very stormy. I won't say it was
Okay.
tornado-y yet, but it was
Okay.
enough that there was a full billboard, like a steel billboard that had been like pushed down like in the middle
Ooh.
of the street.
Oh my
And I mean it
gosh.
was like going to like what's it called? Universal Studios,
Yeah.
where you go through like the rides that are like Jaws and all this stuff, or
Yeah.
it sort of felt like that, literally.
It does
So I
feel
get to
eerie and
school.
super it does feel weird.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a
Well,
yeah.
so anyway, I don't even make it to school because I think my friend Monique ended up getting the kids. Our friend Jill was the principal. She gets her kids, and everybody meets at my house because I have the best basement. And all of us and our kids and Hershey, our dog, who of blessed memory, we're all in this basement together. Like I think we probably had sleeping bags or pillows, whatever. We had snacks for the
And
kids
yeah, you have that
because this is
beer. You had the
there.
beer fridges downstairs.
Beer would have been good, but,
Yeah.
there's 3 adults. At this point, there's 7 kids, and we sat there for a while, and then at one point, we went upstairs just to see, and I remember Jill opening that back door, and you could hear it. They said it sounds like a train coming.
Yeah.
You could hear that. We closed it, we went back downstairs. That was the closest we ever got to, like, being in. I know there are people I have friends who have actually literally survived tornadoes and devastation by, you know, getting together in one of
Hunkering
those,
down.
as you say,
Yeah.
hunkering down in the Harry Potter closet, and it's literally saved their lives. So I don't take that for granted. It was not fun. I'm telling it now as a story of just, we sometimes do take it for granted, but I do not take for granted that safety.
All right then. Well,
On that note, right?
on
Everybody
that.
stay safe. And when the alarm goes off in the middle of the night, listen to it.
Yeah, that's true. All right. And when the alarm goes off in the morning, wake up and get out of my house and go to school, please. That's a message for my children
Right.
if they're listening. Well, thanks for listening to the latest Sis Tell podcast. Don't forget to share us with your friends, share us with your family, share us with your foes.
As always, this has been Amanda and Allison with a whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing. We'll catch you next time.